All right, Senate Democrats, meanwhile, are under growing pressure to reopen the government. But look at the U.S. stock market. Shutdown what? Seems to be looking past any shutdown fears with a record-breaking day. The Dow right now soaring to new heights, topping 47,000, up 471 points. So today's votes will obviously be key. Are the last chance, by the way, to do so before the weekend to have those votes. Senior congressional correspondent Chad Pergram is on this live from the Hill. Chad, walk us through what is about to happen.
Well, we're going to have a couple of test votes here in the next hour or so, but the positions are hardening. Informal bipartisan Senate talks died. In fact, any new Senate plan likely hits a brick wall in the House. Even the Senate chaplain asked for divine intervention to reopen the government.
On this third day of the government shutdown, inspire them to work for your glory in all they think, say, and do. Equip our senators for their task.
The Senate takes 2 test votes within the hour on competing government funding plans. They need 60 votes. 3 members who caucus with the Democrats support the GOP bill. Republicans hope they can flip a few more, but they believe the left drags Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer into the shutdown.
It's all about President Trump and the Democrats needing to pick a fight to satisfy their far-left political base, far-left activist organizations who are the tail wagging the dog right now. You've got AOC, you've got all these people that are bringing pressure to bear.
If the Senate blocks the funding plan again, the shutdown bleeds into next week. That gives the GOP an opportunity to target Democrats. Democrats are doubling down on demands to offset Obamacare costs.
We know Americans want this. And we know many of my Republican colleagues want this as well. If we don't act now, then at least 22 million people will see their health care premiums double on average.
Now, 3 things to watch. First, if there are Democratic defections during the votes today. Number 2, if Democrats get skittish over the weekend after hearing from constituents. And 3, do moderate Democrats criticize leaders and the left for the shutdown? Sandra?
All good questions, Chad. Thank you very much. All right, John.
All right, Sandra, let's bring in Fox News contributor Byron York to dig deeper on this as we await Caroline's arrival. So when it comes to the messaging war, the White House is levering the bully pulpit of the administration to really hand it to Democrats. Listen to the voicemail message you get, or at least the announcement you get when you call the White House. Listen here.
Democrats in Congress have shut down the federal government because they care more about funding health care for illegal immigrants than they care about serving you, the American people. Until Democrats vote for the clean, Republican-backed continuing resolution to reopen the government, the White House is unable to answer your call or respond to your questions.
All right, so that's the comment line. I mean, you go to almost any of the department's websites, there's a similar message. They've got a lot of leverage here to try to stick it to Democrats.
They do. And, you know, this is a complete reversal from most shutdown fights that we've had in the past. When Republicans were pushing some policy priority and threatening to close down the government if they didn't get what they want, the government shuts down and Democrats are saying, it's their fault. All we Democrats want to do is open the government. Well, now you have the Trump administration making that exact argument. It's a really effective argument when people don't want the government to be shut down.
Byron, why do you fathom, as we watch this Dow, reaching new heights right now, why do you fathom that the markets just seem to be just not just shrugging this off, but I mean, I don't know, reaching new record highs in spite of all of this?
You know, it's kind of a weird fight in the sense that, in the last 24 hours, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders released a video that has gotten millions of views in which they explain the shutdown entirely in terms of Obamacare subsidies. And these are expanded Obamacare subsidies that Congress voted in 2021 and 2022. And they're set to expire on December 31st of this year. Mm-hmm. 2 things. One, every single Democrat in the House and every single Democrat in the Senate voted to allow these subsidies to expire on December 31st of this year. And the other thing is, when you have a lot of pressure going in Congress and in a crisis atmosphere, it's because the deadline is in 24 hours, or tonight the government is going to shut down. In this case, these subsidies are set to expire on December 31st. It is early October. There is actually not that sense of emergency behind this dispute.
Yeah, which is why Republicans can't figure out why Democrats have chosen this as a hill to die on. And the Democrats seem to be losing the messaging battle over this idea that they're not asking for taxpayer money to fund health care for undocumented migrants. The White House and the Speaker's office put out this chart. It says if the Democratic provision, which is on page 57, section 2141, were to be enacted, it would overturn all of these cuts that were made in the big, beautiful bill. And down there on the right-hand side of the page, $192,813 million would be added to the budget. I mean, by all observations here, it looks like Republicans have got the high ground on that one.
Yeah, and we do know that even at the time of the big, beautiful bill, the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, estimated that a large number of non-citizens would lose their Medicaid coverage. Now, there's a difference between non-citizens and illegal immigrants. Both are non-citizens, but one is here legally and the other not. But clearly that is going to apply to some of them, because also the Republicans point out that during the rush over the border of the Biden years, the Biden administration basically just waved millions of people in, gave them what's called parole with no basis at all. And the Republicans argue they should not have that parole and they should not have these benefits.
All right, Byron, thank you very much. We
Thanks,
await
Byron.
that briefing. Thanks,
Thank you.
Byron, thank you so much.
Speaker Mike Johnson, R. Daddy, is sending a pointed signal to Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DNY, as the 2025 government shutdown is poised to enter a second week. The leader of the House of Representatives canceled chamber activities for next week, effectively directing lawmakers to remain in their home districts until at least October 14th. Johnson appears to be raising the stakes on Senate Democrats, who keep refusing the GOP's plan to fund government agencies on a short-term basis, in favor of making demands on healthcare that Republicans are calling unreasonable. Originally, the House had been slated to return to a regular legislative schedule on October 7th. The full House was last in session on September 19th. Johnson warned earlier on Friday that the House may not return until Schumer and Democrats agreed with Republicans' bill. "We passed it, and it's been rejected by the Senate," the House Speaker told reporters during a news conference. "So the House will come back into session and do its work as soon as Chuck Schumer allows us to reopen the government. That's plain and simple." House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, DNY, told Fox News Digital during his own Friday news conference that he would summon his Democratic caucus back into D.C. next week, whether Republicans were there or not. Meanwhile, two sources told Fox News Digital earlier on Friday that it was one of several strategies that House GOP leaders were considering, but were waiting to see how the Senate's Friday afternoon vote played out. It was the fourth time Senate Democrats rejected the GOP's funding plan, a mostly flat extension of fiscal year 2025 government funding levels. The measure, called a continuing resolution, CR, would also include $88 million in security funding for lawmakers, the White House, and the judicial branch, which has bipartisan support. But Democrats in the House and Senate were infuriated by being sidelined in federal funding talks. They have been pushing for an extension of Obamacare subsidies enhanced during the COVID-19 pandemic. Those enhancements would expire by the end of 2025 without congressional action. Democrats have also introduced a counter-proposal for a CR that would keep the government funded through October 31st, while reversing the GOP's cuts to Medicaid made in their One Big Beautiful Bill. The counter-proposal would have also restored federal funding to NPR and PBS that was cut by the Trump administration earlier this year. Republicans have panned that plan as a non-starter full of partisan demands, while pointing out that Democrats have voted for a clean measure similar to the GOP proposal 13 times during former President Joe Biden's time in office. Canceling next week's House votes also puts off the probability that lawmakers would have to vote on making the Department of Justice release even more files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Representatives Thomas Massey, R. Kentucky, and Ro Khanna, D. California, needed just one more person to sign on to a petition aimed at forcing a vote on the Epstein files a signature they would have gotten if Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva D. Arizona was sworn in next week following her special election victory. House GOP leaders have panned that petition as unserious and superfluous, having already directed the House Oversight Committee to investigate the DOJ's handling of Epstein's case. Johnson told Fox News Digital earlier this week that he was concerned the bipartisan measure was written in a way that it would not protect sensitive information regarding Epstein's victims. When asked about Johnson's move during his own Friday news conference, Schumer told reporters, Johnson and the House Republicans care more about protecting the Epstein files than protecting the American people.